that you were the local regional manager and that you were going to be sharing with us today some of the opportunities that are available from the Denmark pipeline, letting us know what an update is, and in particular what sort of local content requirements and Indigenous employment and content requirements are in place for that project as well. So thanks for coming and joining us today.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for having us. So, look, as you said, the project does include a pipeline some 43 kilometres. It'll traverse from around Chalker Up Tank and sort of Green Valley area across to Settlers Road in Scottsdale. So it's predominantly it's an underground pipeline, be constructed using open trenching techniques, with the exception of some areas where we're crossing river crossing and rail crossing. So it'll be it's a civil project with all the associated works that you'd expect for a project of that nature. At this stage, we went to market earlier this year and received it was an open tender which went out to the market at the beginning of March with an estimated contract value of around $15 million for that civil contract. We received 8 bids from sort of qualified Tier 1 contractors, and at this stage we're expecting to award the contract early next month, sort of early in June. In support of that process, what we've done is established a process for local contractors to register their interest to be subcontractors for the head contractor when they are appointed. So we've got a registration process that's been running for that. And at this stage, we've got over 60 local subcontractors that have already registered their interest, but we're still accepting registrations at this time. So there's within that contract, and unfortunately I can't give you the specifics at this stage around what the proportions are. There is some contractual issues around that at the moment while the tender is still being awarded, but there are some strong preferential requirements there for local content, and certainly as part of that process, as I say, in support of that, we've put in place that registration process for subcontractors. So certainly expect to see a strong local content as part of that process. At this stage, we're expecting to see work on the project commence probably in July, possibly late July, with an expectation that the project will be completed quite early in 2021, all things going to plan. So it'll be quite an aggressive construction schedule, and to that end, I think that the head contractors will be looking for significant support from local contractors to enable that to be achieved. It'll be a very aggressive timeline, and will require good contributions from contractors to make that achievable. There's some additional work coming up and associated with this. There's some tank upgrade work that will be occurring also. That'll be a selected tender that'll go out, our qualified bidders in that space. But there's around about $1 million worth of additional work there, and there'll be some opportunities for local contractors to support that work. This pipeline has been required because some people will be aware that obviously we've seen limited rainfall in the area the last couple of years, and Denmark has come off a couple of years of near record low rainfall periods. And as a result, Water Corporation has made the decision that we can no longer depend on the local surface water sources that we have to supply a reliable water supply to Denmark. And as a result, we've made the decision to construct this pipeline. So this is a pipeline that connects the Albany water supply scheme, which supplies Albany and Mount Barker and Kent through to Denmark. It's a 250 millimetre PVC pipeline, and so will be constructed as a buried pipeline. So predominantly this will be constructed existing tracks and roadways and fire breaks and the like, with some trenchless technology to cross the River Rail, and there's some major road crossings where will be required also, but predominantly it'll be open trenching. There are some sort of key approvals required as part of this project, so we've been working closely with both the Shire of Denmark and the City of Albany to access road reserves. Also working with DBCA to access some existing tracks and the like in state forests, again minimising the environmental impact associated with this work, and also working with main roads to access about 1.8 kilometres of road reserve for the highway corridor, which will allow us again to minimise the impact from an environmental perspective. Working with PTA and ARC for rail crossings, and we have approximately 16 landowners who are directly impacted as a result of some pipeline running on private property. However, all our applications and what have you are in place for all those approvals, and we're expecting certainly by the end of this month that we'll have all that in place and the project will be ready to go in July. So, as I said, this will be a very quick start once the tender has been awarded, and a very aggressive timeline in terms of completion. We've been engaging the community and stakeholders right through this project. All the work is complete, and obviously as part of the preparation of the tender process, and it is in fact absolutely shovel ready, as Andrew mentioned, and so this project will be making a quick start and working towards very quick completion. Any questions?
Yes, another live question from me while we wait for some of the other people to put questions in. I was wondering, I noticed here that you've said that the subcontracting registrations are closed, and they closed on the 30th of April. But I was just wondering, if someone hasn't registered in that list, does that preclude them from being, or does that mean that a head contractor isn't able to go and engage in a contract for that project with a subcontractor that's not on that list?
No, I don't believe it does. Well, the purpose of the pre-registration was to provide the head contractor with some good information once the tender was awarded and allow them to move quickly. So that's really to provide the contractors with that information to prepare them ready for a quick start on the project. So it wouldn't preclude them from speaking to directly with the head contractor once the tender has been issued.
Right, so that wouldn't be a ridiculous thing to do. That's encouraging. And did you mention, you may have alluded to it, just your speaker dropped out a little. Were there specific targets built into this contract for local content, for local employment and Indigenous content and employment?
There are specific targets for all those employment categories at this stage. Unfortunately, again, part of that is embedded in the contract, and I can't give you the specifics, but certainly we did include some strong local content requirements, and probably stronger than we would normally have. We're particularly encouraging local contributions for this project. So yes, expecting a great field of local vendors to be involved in this project.
And Tanya's asked the same question about whether there is a set portion of the contract required to be set aside for Aboriginal employment. I know you don't have those figures in front of you, but where can people go to maybe find out more information about those opportunities?
Once the tender has been awarded, we'll be working with the head contractor to make sure that vendors, interested parties, will be able to make contact.
So it would be a good idea for us as a chamber to keep our eye out for who that head contractor is awarded to, so that we can put them in touch with Indigenous contractors and people who might like to try and access some employment. Is that correct? That's what we could do as a chamber?
Look, I think it would probably be a good idea for us to reach out to you once we've issued the tender. Then we could probably make that information available to you. We're just working through the process about what engagement we'll do once we're at that point, but I'm sure it'd be appropriate for us to speak to the chamber directly.
Great, thank you for that. I appreciate that. We have another question from Charlotte. Charlotte understands that some of your works can only be done by your specialist panel contractors. Can you give us any indication what proportion of those works form the main work, and will any of those existing specialist panel contractors likely to be local?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. I'm just trying to think in terms of this work, anything that would be so ordinarily where there's work that we're engaging contractors directly, we do establish panels for particular types of work. And for instance, with the tender for the pipeline construction, that's an open tender, whereas the work on the tanks, that is a select tender based on sort of pre-qualified vendors who we know meet our requirements in the particular type of works that's required. Similarly, across the region in the last sort of 12 or 18 months, we've been undertaking a great deal of water carting. Now, we have a panel of vendors that we use for water carting, but there are opportunities for the new vendors to come along through our pre-qualification process. And in that space, for example, beginning of last year, we had 3 or 4 vendors that we were using regularly. We've got 7 or 8. And bar one, they are all based in the region and operating in the region. One is we've got some work at the extremities of the region, and we've got a contractor who's come across from sort of the boundary from one of our other regions. But predominantly the contractors are local contractors, and the new contractors that we brought on in the last sort of 12 or so months, again, bar that one contractor, have all been local contractors, some from around Albany and other parts of the region. So there's always opportunities for new vendors to come in and to join us. And there is a process that's outlined on our website for vendors to register interest for participating in those panels. We do have a pre-qualification process which really deals with some of our contractual but primarily OSH requirements to ensure that all our work's completed safely. So there are types of work where we will go out to a select panel. But in this case, the head contractor will have the opportunity to engage subcontractors at their discretion. So, short answer, for the construction of the pipeline itself, that won't be limited to our specific panel contractors.
Thank you very much. That's great. I noticed as well that you have on your website the opportunity for people to provide feedback about that project, and then it's easy for people to go in and make contact with you. So commendable on both the list of potential subcontractors and also on that great engagement for people with that project. Is there anybody else with questions in our audience? I don't have any more questions myself, so Adrian, we want to say a big thank you to you. It's obviously an important project in our region, and water is obviously a really important topic for our whole region. So we appreciate that the Water Corp is doing everything it can to give local people the best opportunity. All our speakers today, thank you very much.